everyone, it's Andrea. Thanks for tuning in. And today I just want to tell you that it's not all sugar plums and fairy tales over here. It can be hard being a signing agent. It can truly get to you at times because sometimes you have to deal with rude people. But it happens. It happens in our personal lives. It happens in our professional lives, right? We could be at the grocery store and the cashier is rude to us. We could be at a stoplight and the person in the next car is rude to us. It happens. But those are our personal lives. And so, yeah, we can say whatever we want to them, right? I don't typically do that. I typically don't go off on people. But in our professional lives, we have to figure out the right way of handling it. So today I'm coming to you to talk to you about how to deal with rude customers. So the first thing is that you have to understand this is not about you. What they're mad about most likely has nothing to do with you. So there have been times where I have gone to someone's home for a closing and they've told me that they've had 3 different loan officers. They've had really bad experience. They've had to email their loan officer documents 15 times, same exact document. So they're not upset about you. This process is hard. It can be long. It can be tiring. So I saw something on Facebook once, a few years ago, and it kind of stuck with me. If I wrote a book about my life, would you be in it? Would you be all throughout it? Would you have your own chapter? Or would you only be in a line or 2? And if I'm being real with myself, when these signers, if they were to write a book, would I be in it? At all? No. So chances are they're not upset with me. I don't have that kind of power really in my mind. I don't. They're not upset with me. They're upset with the process. They're upset with life. They're upset with whatever took place 5 minutes before you walked through their door. They're upset with a million other things aside from this woman wants me to sign all these papers that they applied to sign up for. So understand that this is not about you, and the stuff that they're mad about has 9 times out of 10 nothing to do with you. So get that. Next, empathize with them. I've told you this is a long process. I've had some signers tell me that it took 7 months to refinance their home. I had one, like I mentioned, one lady who told me that she went through 3 loan officers. And the last loan officer was worse than the other. And so she was upset. And when I walked through the door with the papers for her to sign, they were wrong. They were wrong. She was upset about that. Rightfully so. She even showed me emails where she had sent to all 3 loan officers her divorce decree, but yet for some reason her husband was still listed on all the documents. So yeah, she was upset. I do not blame her. So we really have to empathize with them at times. They sometimes won't share that information with us. I didn't ask for that info, but because of the document, she shared it with me and then showed me emails. But we have to, when we sit down and we see that they're not in the best of mood and they don't share, it has nothing to do with us. We all have crappy attitudes at times. Another situation I had was when I called to confirm a closing. And the guy was crappy on the phone. We get to the closing table. If you watched any of my videos, you know the very first document I show is the closing disclosure. I'm going through all the pieces of the first page and I get down to the bottom line, cash to close, $12. And he says, I was told that I didn't owe any money at the table. And I said, okay, sure. Is there someone we can talk to, your loan officer or someone that will be able to answer that question? So he gets on his phone, he calls the loan officer. They're not on speakerphone, so I don't know what the loan officer said to him, but he gets off the phone and he says, I didn't even think this was going to close today. So it's a good thing that I brought a blank check. And he writes out the check. He goes on to tell me that it took him 2 years to refinance his home. 2 years. He tells me that when he first tried to refinance his home, the company told him that he needed to pay off all of his credit cards. And then after he did that they denied him his loan, the refinance, because several months before he had purchased 2 brand new vehicles, $40,000 apiece. One was a truck, one was a car for his wife. And they told him his debt to income ratio was too high. Now keep in mind, he is staying with the lender, the same lender, the entire time. The one he purchased the home from and now trying to refinance, same lender. So he was upset that he paid off all of his credit cards only to be denied. So then the pandemic hit, interest rate plummet. He was denied again because his debt to income ratio. Now here we are, 2 years, and he says, I didn't even think this was going to close today, because they called him a few days before the closing appointment and told him that he made too much money. What? Okay, so pause this story. I don't know a whole lot about credit scores or everything that takes place on the back end to decide whether you are approved for a refinance, approved for a loan. I don't know all those details, so I'm not even going to pretend. But it doesn't make too much sense to me that if I am paying on 2 brand new vehicles and everything else that's on my credit report, paying on that you deny me because I make too much money. And then he told me that it was with the same lender and he has never been late with that lender ever. So I'm just confused. Even now, I'm still confused. So there's no wonder that he's upset. See what I'm saying? There's no wonder, because he went through all of this rigmarole to get to the closing table, told that he didn't have to pay closing costs. Now he has to pay $12. And after you've done railroaded me all of this time. I'm just saying. Okay, so I understand the guy. He was upset. So we really have to empathize with our borrowers. They're not always going to tell us the process that they went through in order to make it happen. Sometimes it's nice when they do, because we kind of, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that happened to you. Here, sign this other paper. And then you're cracking jokes in between, and before long, the mood is lighter, the atmosphere is better, and though he was crabby in the beginning, by the end of the appointment, he was perfectly fine. He was super, super nice. I then understood why he was upset, especially if you didn't even know this was going to close. We feel for them at times. We should feel for them at times. But there are times where we come in contact with someone who is just naturally rude, naturally just upset. They may have been born that way, seems like nothing can make them happy. And I've had a situation like that too. So I had someone call me, and it was a title company that called me. Hey, can you do this buyer-seller transaction? Fine, sure. I emailed them. They emailed me the confirmation, but the confirmation only really has the time and the location. So I asked for the buyer and the seller's contact information so I can confirm the appointment. And they said, we want to be the only ones to communicate with the buyer. Okay, that should have been a red flag to me, but okay. All right. Another red flag should have been the amount of emails that they sent me leading up to the appointment. It was probably like 5 emails in a week's time asking, are you sure you're going to be there? Make sure you're on time. Make sure you do this. And I'm thinking, first of all, rarely am I late to my appointments. But the way I had mapped it out, there was no way. But they were just, and then in one of the emails it said, the buyer is a real estate agent, so she shouldn't have any questions. That was wrong. That was absolutely wrong. So I get to the closing table and she's there, and I introduce myself, and I'm just trying to have chit chat with her, and she's talking all over me. And it's in this, I feel like I can kind of get along with just about anybody. I'm just gonna be real. I feel like there are most personalities I can mesh with, I can work with. But hers just didn't feel right to me. So she's talking over me, and she has somewhat of this condescending tone about her. And after about the first 10 minutes, I realized that I couldn't get through that wall. Chit chat wasn't gonna help. Making little light jokes wasn't gonna help. So I went into my mode of get the closing done. So she's talking over me. At one point she asked what title company I'm working for, and I told her, technically I work for X, Y, and Z title company. However, I am considered an independent contractor. And I tell her that because she's asking a lot of questions, and some of those questions I'm not at liberty to answer. She's asking about insurance, and how, like, she's asking a lot of questions, and I can't answer some of those. Most of them I was able to point exactly to her answers. So then she says, so then the sellers come in, they're running late. Sellers come in, they're having a sidebar conversation, and she's telling them that the cable guy is at her home, and he's an independent contractor, so he probably doesn't know what he's doing. Okay. I just continue to smile. I go through the next document, explaining what it is, and sign here. And I was adamant. I was not going to let her see me sweat, even though I felt that dig. I felt that stab in my back. But I've been able to answer all of her questions. So what can you even say? Aside from that insurance one, I answered every other question she had. But I didn't want her to see me sweat. So I continued to smile and explain the documents. And every time she signed, would put her head down to sign the document, I would look up at the clock. My appointments typically last 25 minutes to about 35 minutes. I look up at the clock. You only have about 15 more minutes, Andrea. You only have about 10 more minutes, Andrea. I didn't let her see that I was looking at the clock so much. But yeah, I checked that clock out several times. And it's like in my mind, a mental countdown. Okay, you're almost done, you're almost done. Then when the closing was over, I stood up. I congratulated her on her new home. I welcomed her to the area. I congratulated the sellers for purchasing their dream home out of state. And I said bye to everybody. I was super, super professional, even though I wanted to say some other things. But you have to maintain that. And I had to remember there's an audience in this room. There's the 2 sellers and there's the real estate agent. And if I want the real estate agent to call me for more closings, then I'm going to have to let her know that I can handle these types of situations. No one likes them, but I can certainly handle it. And at the end of the day, I presented myself to everybody else the way I wanted them to see me. Whether she did that or not, she probably didn't care, but I certainly didn't want to get up from that table and present a negative appearance of myself to everybody else. So I know the profession, we have to deal with some rude people at times, and it might, our first reaction is kind of hurry up and give them documents, not smile because, hey, you don't deserve a positive, you don't deserve that from me because you're being a butt, I'm going to be a butt. No, I didn't want to do that. We can't do that because this is our business. This is not a business that we can, this is not just a business, this is our business. So we have to treat it as such. We have to present ourselves in a manner in which we would appreciate, we just have to, we have to do better than what they deserve sometimes. But there are times where the situation is absolutely uncalled for and you have to get up and walk out. It happens. My friend, she had a closing where the one of the borrowers said she did not want to sign the documents. And so she stood up to leave, and the husband was like, no, she's going to sign the documents. And he was adamant he did not want the notary to leave the table. Absolutely not. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel unsafe, you excuse yourself, tell them why. I feel unsafe, so unfortunately I'm going to have to leave, and walk out the door. You get in your car, you call the signing service, the title company, whoever contracted you, and you tell them what happened. And then you also put it in black and white. Put it in black and white. So email the signing company or put it in the portal if they have a portal, but you let them know why you canceled, why you are canceling this appointment. You let them know. Therefore, and when you talk to them and when you put it in black and white, be professional. Be professional, but let them know. Therefore, they know, okay, this was, whatever took place was absolutely uncalled for, and this notary felt unsafe, uncomfortable, did not want to be there any longer, and they should have no issues with that. Okay? So hopefully you don't encounter any of these rude people, just for real. But it's bound to happen. Hopefully this video will help you. Please check out my other video that talks about how to ensure you have a smooth loan closing. And I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.